Hello and welcome to peacepodcast.org. You're in for a very special, guess you should say podcast today, because Secretary General Outant said when my husband was at the UN, when we have peace education, we will have peace in the world. And today you're going to find out how peace education can have an impact and make us the action we need on the planet. Welcome, Phill Gittins.
Thank you so much for having me.
Peace, education, and action for impact is what Phill is doing. But look behind me. Phill and I are on a committee that is Ending War 101, Making Peace Possible, a joint effort between Peace, the Rotary Action Group for Peace, and World Beyond War. And I'm Barbara Gahn-Mueller, and I welcome you. You know, Dr. Phill Gittins is a recognized expert in peace education and youth peace and security issues. I was reading his biography today, and I thought, how can he have done all of this? He's a qualified psychotherapist, youth and community practitioner, educator, project manager with a PhD in international conflict analysis. Having lived, worked, and studied in over 60 countries, Dr. Gittins has extensive experience working across diverse areas, including prison-based interventions, advisory services, and consultancy work for institutions around the world, training thousands on social change-related issues, co-developing international peace initiatives, coordinating networks and programs, and engaging with global movement to end all wars, which is my passion, why I am putting up Ending War 101 behind me. Phill and I have worked for over a year with a group of people, including Dr. People and Helen Peacock. Currently, he serves as the education director for World Beyond War. Dr. Gittins has received numerous awards, and I'm just going to mention two, such as the Rotary Peace Fellowship, and he is a positive peace activator with the Institute of Economics and Peace. Wow, Philip, what can I say, Dr. Phill Gittins? You've lived your life and you look so young.
Thank you. We're trying. Thank you.
Well, let's get right.
I think what keeps me so energetic is wonderful collaborations with people like you and the Rotary Action Group for Peace and Rotarians that we're able to collaborate around the world with. We just love working with the Rotary community and their leadership that they bring to the needed work of peace that we so necessarily need, always, but particularly now.
It's so interesting, Phill, because when I mention your name, half the world knows you. So you say you've worked in 60 countries. Now you're really focusing on peace education and action for impact. So what is peace education, PEIAI? Why was it created? And how does it differ from other programs?
Yes, well, Peace Education Action for Impact started in 2021. And it's actually got a longer history in terms of going back to my Rotary Peace Fellowship, which was over 10 years ago, but actually a newer relationship in terms of with the Rotary Action Group for Peace. So a shout out to the Rotary Action Group for Peace and particularly Alison Sutherland. We decided to work together on a project called Peace Education Action for Impact. And what it is that it is what it says on the tin. So we have 6 weeks of peace education and then 8 weeks of action. And what we try to do is support the personal development of young people, 18 to 35, that go through the program, but also engage adults that work with young people. So youth workers, Rotarians, educators, lecturers, NGO workers, etc., to work with young people through the 14-week process. And then at the end of the project, young people apply what they've learned through the Peace Education Action for Impact project to bring about social change projects that address urgent community needs in these countries. So it really started as a collaboration between two organizations, the Rotary Action Group for Peace and World Beyond War, which we have an MOU together, and created something new. We saw that there was gaps missing both within the peace building field and within Rotary in particular, around those that study peace and those that do peace. You know, there's not enough opportunities for young people to have opportunities to learn about peace, conflict, violence, how to end war, and then to go and apply what they've learned in practice. We also saw that there was a gap in terms of this idea of intergenerational work that needs to take place. So within Peace Education Action for Impact, youth are put at the center of the projects, but they actually work with mentors throughout the process. So it's a really kind of intergenerational engagement work. And then another big thing is that we want to do it on a large scale. So far since 2021, we've managed to impact young people, organizations, and communities in 19 countries, in some of the
Wow.
most fragile and dangerous countries on the planet, from Ukraine, Russia, South Sudan, Venezuela, Colombia, Iraq, Haiti, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Cameroon, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, among others. So it's a great opportunity for these young people to be brought together because it's an online course and to learn with and from each other through the process. So that's a little bit about what Peace Education Action for Impact is, a little bit of why we created it, and a little bit around how it works. But of course, I could say a little bit more if we have time.
Well, you definitely told me how it differs from other education programs because we give them the knowledge, then we send them off. But this one, you give them the knowledge and then they have 8 weeks of implementation. And I'm sure you're there to help them as they do this because I'm sure they're going to run into resistance. They're going to run into problems of location, location, location. And so I'm just delighted. What has your impact been with PEAI so far?
The impact, we've done a monitoring evaluation process, and we're very fortunate we worked with the University of Cambridge and also Columbia University in the US to be really rigorous to try and find out. And we're interested in exploring this question: what makes peace education meaningful? And we did an analysis. We've done 2 cohorts of Peace Education Action for Impact so far. In 2021, we worked with 12 countries. In 2023, we worked with 7 countries. And what we do is surveys before the project starts, ongoing analysis throughout. So throughout the 14 weeks, asking young people, mentors, and the communities how it's impactful, but then an analysis at the end via surveys and via focus groups to find out what was meaningful. And we found that there's a couple of areas in which impact happens. One, the individual level for young people. So evidence shows, our monitoring evaluation processes show that we're able to build the capacity of young people on 5 different continents, equipping them with foundational knowledge, skills, networks, resources to equip them. And this is really, really important. And another thing that differentiates the program, to equip them to both work towards positive peace and challenge the institution of war. Now, that's another thing that really differentiates Peace Education Action for Impact and Ending War 101, that we're interested in looking at the big issues, the big challenges with regards to peace building. And there's no bigger challenge, hence World Beyond War, than going after the institution of war. So young people were talking to us and explaining to us that they learned so much about how ending war really is necessary if we are to achieve peace on the planet, but also security, but also well-being, but also climate change, etc. So all these others. So impact on the individual level, but also impact on the organizational level, because in the process we train and support local organizations, including Rotary clubs and districts, to work more effectively with young people around peace issues, because they're working together throughout 14 weeks. So we actually provide training, a mentor training, a coordinator training. And many of the mentors that have been through the program, some of them, are very experienced, both Rotarians and youth workers and peace builders, but they say they learned a lot as well. Because this program, Peace Education Action for Impact, it really draws from the best of the best within the peace building field, including from, Rotary's IEP work as well, but also other places as well, which really enable the adults. So impact on individual level, organizational level in terms of the adults, impact on a community level. So the young people work together with their mentors to design, implement, and communicate peace projects. So in the last, since 2021, we've managed to successfully support over 20 youth-led peace projects in 19 different countries.
That
So
sounds
that's
so
another kind
impressive.
of
Can
level.
you give us an example of one peace project that you are so proud of so that it really puts in some, a kind of a halo around what you're saying, if you have an example?
Yeah, yeah. So each of the projects are context specific. To give an example, one good project was in Nigeria, which has massive issues right then and does now around school kidnapping. So what they did was that they did work with the communities, with police officers, with young people to assess why are we having all these school kidnappings? You know, what needs to be done to improve the situation? So they did capacity building training and then also put together a policy report to try and inform governments to improve the work. Another project was Ukraine and Russia. So the young people, I know, yes, joint team, it was a joint team, Ukraine and Russia. The young people from Ukraine taught online young people from Russia. And young people from Russia did exactly the same from Ukraine. That's exactly what we need, you know, in today's age. A great project in the US. We had young people who were quite artists on the project, and they wanted to use some of their artistry to do a project. So they actually made a peace album called Peace Accords, and some of the songs on the album drew from what they learned on the program. So such things as inner peace, negative peace, the war system, etc. Another project was in Cameroon where they wanted to address the issue of youth exclusion. And they actually got a letter from the minister of Cameroon congratulating them for all the work that they did. So there's some examples. I can give more if need be, but yes.
Oh my, that is so important what you're saying. Even to have a Ukrainian or a Russian teaching another person in the country that they're warring with, not that they want the war, but there's a reason there's a war and it's not their fault. But this sounds impressive. Do you find any resistance from them, or do you kind of give the mentor to them at the beginning of the program?
Well, that's a great question around something to do with the how of peace education. So this project is it, the way in which it's set up is that we work with country project teams. So it's not a case of one young person from a country can say, "Can I participate in peace education activity?" What we do, and this is really good in terms of getting local buy-in, is that each country needs to recruit a country project team, and the country project team is made up of 10 young people, 13, 18 to 35, and 4 adults. So two coordinators who help secure the funding and the scholarships for the young people
Oh,
to take
funding and
part in the
scholarships.
program.
Right. Mhm.
Yes,
Want to make sure I get that in.
and yes, and also so they find the scholarships, and also they recruit 2 mentors to work with the young people, and also a team of young people. So 14 in total, 4 adults and 10 young people. Now each of the country project teams, because we think that the local people are the experts, not us. Each of the local country project teams decides on who their team is. Now some of them have done interviews and application process. Some of them get, as you can imagine, lots of interest, so they have to whittle down the interest to a team of 14. So yeah, so that's basically how it works. So although we provide the content, they take the content and then contextualize it, you know, for their particular needs in each particular context. So just to give you a couple of examples, in Colombia, they wanted real diversity in terms of the country project team. So they actually recruited 10 young people from 9 different districts across the country, where Serbia, and actually you're right now the Rotary Action Group for Peace or incoming chair, Tiana, she was one of the participants in the program in 2021 from Serbia. And what they decided to do, which worked really well as well, is that they wanted Rotaract from a number of clubs really close to each other. And that worked well as well. So it's up to each particular um, country to decide who should be in their country project team and where they're from.
People that are trained through Education for Impact must have a calling for this. Do they go into the peace work after?
Well, this is another thing in terms of the impact, actually, which I should have. That's a great question, Barbara. Actually, one of the things that we're thinking about when putting the project together is that, in a way, we can think of this as a mini Rotary Peace Fellowship,
Uh-huh.
you know, which I am so fortunate. And thank you to people like yourself, Rotarians and the Rotary community. I am a Peace Fellow, you know, and I've taken what I learned from being a Peace Fellow in 2012, and I hope I'm trying to repay a little bit back in terms of the faith the Rotarians give in me. Our idea is that not all young people will be able to go on to be Rotary Peace Fellows straight away, but they still need some tools along the way. So this project gives them some tools, resources, support to go ahead and hopefully work in the areas of peace. Now, some of the people on the project, they come from all different walks of life. Some have never studied peace before. Some actually were going through the program, had masters in peace and conflict, and one was actually studying a PhD. But they all said that the content was at such a high level, but made really accessible. Now, I want to do a shout out, which I think you might have on the podcast in a few weeks as well. Annie from Venezuela, who's a wonderful Rotarian leader, absolute superstar. She was one of our participants from the Venezuela team, and she's one that I often think about, as many of the other wonderful young people. But she said that she was involved in peace work because that's what Rotary does, but she'd never explicitly studied it. And this gave her a real opportunity to study it. And Annie speaks really well about some of the things that the young people do on the project because it's a different kind of education. We work what we call the head, the heart, the hands of peace building. So people learn about the theories, the concepts, which are important, but also how to be in peace with oneself and be in peace with others. So this idea of nonviolent communication. And the hands is, it's good to be in peace with self. It's good to know about peace, but we need to do stuff. Rotarians are people of action. So how do we go out there and do projects? So Annie herself, and she will tell you herself, her mindset switched, and she's now dedicated to a life of kind of international relations, peace building. So that's one of many examples of people. And I can tell you that I wrote quite a few applications or references for people that have gone on to apply to become a Rotary Peace Fellow as a result of going through this project, as well as actually another big impact. And this is good for Rotary in particular. Some of the country project teams did not know of Rotary before doing the project because we wanted it Rotary and others. But after the project, of course, they do know about Rotary and they've gone on to join Rotary clubs. So it's kind of a win-win-win for all. Win for young people, win for communities, win for Rotary Action Group for Peace, win for World Beyond War, etc. So win-win-win-win.
That is just fantastic to listen to you. You're so motivational. I can understand why the young people want to belong because it's just something that in their heart they know they need for our planet today with all of the upset and uncertainty. And you mentioned the word scholarships, and how can people contribute?
Well, another thing when we were thinking about Peace Education Action for Impact is that to study peace, it can be very expensive to go into universities, and we understand that not all young people can afford that. So what we tried to do is we put together a program which makes it accessible for young people. And each of the country project teams, they raise scholarships, so $300 for each young person to go through the 14 weeks. So 6 weeks of peace education and all the support, as well as 8 weeks of action and ongoing mentoring throughout the project. So each country project team raises the $3,000, and we give access to the mentors and the coordinators for free because they're volunteering their time. Each Rotary or organizations that we work with, they raise it in their different ways. Some will do it through club funding, some will do it with individual donors, some will do it with district grants, etc. And we're also interested in looking at global grants. But so far, Touchwood, he says, we've managed to raise it because Rotarians are leaders and they understand the importance of investing in young people. And that includes investing in providing scholarships for young people to have the opportunity to engage in this one-off opportunity. So that's how we managed to do it so far. But hopefully I can say a little bit about what we're planning to do next and maybe how people might be interested in being
I
involved.
don't even need to ask the question, but what are the next steps for you?
Well, the next steps now are that we're in the process, and I just want to do a shout out that we have a global team within Peace Education Action for Impact, made up of various people, but I'll mention some of them. So Tom Baker is a wonderful Rotarian leader, positive peace activator, Bob as well from his district as well, Bob Rose, and we've also got two young people. Here, Jeanne is from India, and she is the co-chair Rotary International Advisory Youth Council right now, and Veronica is from Bulgaria, and she was the past Rotaract president. So we actually have a global team, and we actually meet once a week, and we have done for the last since 2021 to plan the project. We want to expand in 2025, and we have an opportunity to offer the project up to 10 countries, and we're now in conversations with Pakistan, who have expressed interest, including Rotarians reaching out to us, Pakistan, India, Honduras, Ghana, Egypt, and Wales and Sri Lanka so far. So these are the ones that are interested and currently in the process of recruiting their country project teams, and also reaching out to us because some of them have obviously difficulties with regards to funding, asking us how can Rotary help fund some of this work. So what we need now is help with regards to funding the scholarships for the young people to take part.
And so if we wanted to donate, where would we go? Don't we go to Ending War, World Beyond War website?
Yes, so go to World Beyond War, and I can share the link with you. But there's a Peace Education Action for Impact link, and I'm sure it'll be shared with the podcast, where people can go on and directly donate, and they can donate. Every little helps, from $5 right up to the $300, which funds the young person to go through the 6 weeks of peace education and the 8 weeks of action. So yes, please. In addition to funding, if people are interested in being part of the global team, or also interested in having the Peace Education Action for Impact brought to your country, because you know that it's needed for young people in your context, then please reach out to us, because we're thinking of up to 10 countries for 2025, but then we'll be thinking of other countries that haven't had the opportunity. So please reach out to us and let us know.
And when you say reach out to us, would you want them to contact you directly?
Yes, please. Yes, you can reach out to either Rotary Action for Peace or World Beyond War, but myself is so Phill Gittins, and my email is education@worldbeyondwar.org.
Phill Gittins, education at worldbeyondwar.org.
My name's Phill Gittins, but the email is education@worldbeyondwar.org.
Oh, it's just education at World Beyond War. Good, you explained. Yeah. Well, Phill, I cannot tell you how exciting it is to hear about your program. Secretary General Utant said, when we have peace education, we will have peace on the world, in the world, and around the world. And if you're working with as many countries as it sounds like, this is the beginning of our peace of world that we need to do right now, right?
Yes, the famous saying, we cannot reach, in order to reach peace, we need to teach peace. So that's definitely true in terms of what you just said. Yes, for sure.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. You know what is interesting? I've had a tsunami of new people sign up to join the Peace Podcast Network. And I want to thank you. If you're a new member of the Peace community, for the peacepodcast.org, and you will be getting one of these podcasts every week, and I look forward to you joining us. But try not to join alone. Try to bring 2 or 3 people together to watch the podcast so you can have a vibrant conversation after the podcast. My founding this podcast was because I was married to Robert Mueller, and I learned so much from him as his 40 years at the UN. And I thought, if we can learn from these mentors, it will change us from linear thinking to global thinking, as with Phill, right, Phill? And I'm sure your peace-educated persons realize that they're a global citizen now.
Yes, that's hopefully, yes, we all live on one planet, one humanity, one shared earth. So yes, for sure, that's the idea.
It is the idea. Philip, do you have a last word for all of us before I say thank you so much?
Well, I'll do the same and say thank you so much for the invitation. It's been a pleasure, and I've listened to some of your podcasts over the years, so it's a real kind of honor to be here with you. And just a big thank you to all the Rotarians and everyone else that's out there that's listening. We just really appreciate your leadership, and if we can collaborate in any way, support in any way, please reach out to us. But thank you, and thank you to all the Ending War 101 team who are doing amazing work.
Wow, thank you. I say thank you, but I also say thank you for bringing peace to the awareness of so many. It begins with awareness. As you become aware that peace is possible and fully believe it, then you become the peace other people need. And as Phill said, if you'd like to get in touch with him, just go to education@worldbeyondwar.org. And I thank you again, Philip, and I thank you, all of you, for watching peacepodcast.org. I'm Barbara Gaunt signing off, and may peace prevail on earth.